Welcome. I would like to welcome you to another episode of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. And if you do me a favor, please subscribe to whoever you're listening. Please subscribe to whoever you're watching. It definitely means a lot to me. But here's where we'll start. And we're starting at a place that's all too familiar to the NFL. And that is the David Culley situation. Or it's not even a situation anymore. David Culley, the first-year coach for the Houston Texans, got fired. Now, there's a lot wrong with this situation. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but back when he first got hired, I said that I felt bad for him. Now, usually you don't feel bad for African-American coaches, especially African-American coaches in the NFL because they're so scarce. But I feel bad for David Culley because I said he is put in a lose-lose situation. You put him in a situation, one, you knew the Houston Texans did not want to hire David Culley. Did I say he was deserving of a head coaching job? Yes. David Culley for sure. I mean, he was a longtime assistant. David Culley definitely deserved to be a head coach somewhere. But you already could tell from the jump that they didn't want, and when I say they, I mean the Houston Texans didn't want to hire David Culley. They may have had another person in mind. Their GM is, has their newest GM has New England ties, so you would probably think that they'd want to go through the New England side, but they didn't want to hire David Culley. They hired him because the turmoil that was going on, or that's still going on with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson said that he wanted input in the head coaching position. He gave a list of names. They didn't even consider any of them. And Deshaun Watson at that point was like, yo, I'm out. I don't want to be here. I'm not coming back. And that's just on the field situation. That has nothing to do with the off-field situation that Deshaun Watson sees himself in. So they hired David Culley pretty much as a last ditch, like, hey, yo, Deshaun, please come back. We have a black coach, which is crazy. It's crazy because you're at this point not hiring a person you're not hiring a person because you think that they're capable of doing the job. You're hiring a person just to appease the quarterback. And while the quarterback should have some input on who your head coach is, but you don't just hire a black coach because your black quarterback wants him. Like oh no, not even that. Your black quarterback wants him, and you feel the only way that you hire this black head coach is to keep the black quarterback. That's not right. That's not right for the black quarterback. That's not right for the black coach. So I felt bad for David Culley in that sense. And you've already, all you kept hearing throughout the season was he's a placeholder. He's a placeholder. He's a placeholder. He's a placeholder until somebody else comes because you clearly see that it didn't work with Deshaun Watson, so he's a placeholder. He was put in such a bad situation and got dealt such a bad hand. And that's what you see a lot of when you see black coaches. I mean, after 1 year, Think about the plate that David Culley was handed or was served. You don't have a franchise quarterback. Your franchise quarterback, who is Deshaun Watson, has told the media, has told the team countless times, I am not coming back. So you don't have a franchise quarterback. Your second string quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, he got hurt majority of the year. He did come back in spurts, but he got hurt majority of the year. You don't have, who is your cornerstone player? Brandon Cooks, who had a decent season, but outside of that, who is your cornerstone player? Don't let me forget that they traded Melvin Ingram. They traded Mark Ingram at the early end of the season. So that's your starting running back. You don't have DeAndre Hopkins. You don't have J.J. Watt left the season before. And you don't have Mark Andrews. And you don't have Deshaun Watson. You don't have Tyrod Taylor. So you have a rookie quarterback, arguably the worst offensive line in the NFL, arguably the worst defense in the NFL. You have management pretty much saying you're only here because Deshaun Watson wanted you, and Deshaun Watson's not even here. So count your days, my G. And it's unfortunate. And the reason why I really started this show was because the reason why I started this as, this was the start of my show is because we see this way too often. I said this when he got the job. I said, this looks so familiar. And I said it looks so familiar, not in the sense of, what is it? No, this happens a lot, most of the time, to African-American coaches in the NFL. There's a reason. There's a reason why there is only one African-American head coach in the NFL right now, and that is Mike Tomlin for the Steelers. See, a lot of people are going to look, and a lot of people, especially people that are not of color, look and say, well, you have Mike Tomlin. He's black, and look at him. He's been successful for 15 plus years. You have Robert Saleh, who is not black, by the way, because I heard that a lot once the whole David Culley firing happened. You have Robert Saleh, who's not black. What people don't understand, and what a lot of people don't understand, is that the Mike Tomlins of the NFL is rare. It's so uncommon that an African American coach gets, when they first get a job in the NFL as a head coach, you're getting a cornerstone franchise. You're getting a cornerstone quarterback. You have Big Ben. You're getting an elite defense. You're getting an elite offensive line. You're getting a very good ownership team. It is very rare that an African-American coach is put in that situation. In fact, it's so rare. I can remember only happening once, and that was Mike Tomlin, who's still there. And don't get it confused. You know how many times people be trying to get Mike Tomlin out the door? How many years? All you hear is, is it time to let go of Mike Tomlin? Is it time to move away from Mike Tomlin? Has Mike Tomlin lost the locker room? Nobody listens to Mike Tomlin. Look at some of the greatest, or look at some of the best African. Look at Tony Dungy. He had to go to the Bucks, I believe. Todd Bowles, David Culley, Lovie Smith. All of these head coaches had to go to organizations that didn't have it all there, or they're pretty much set up to fail. Hell, Tony Dungy didn't get to the Tony Dungy status until he got to Indianapolis. And you just heard what his first stop was, the Bucks. The Bucks that were horrible. Todd Bowles had the Bucks that were horrible. You have the Jets. Or did Tony Dungy? No, I'm sorry. Todd Bowles and Tony Dungy had the Jets. Or no, Tony Dungy had the Bucks, I believe. Todd Bowles had the Jets. I apologize. But even still, it's the Jets. And what's very unfortunate is look at Todd Bowles now and how intricate he is in the Bucks game plan and how good he is as a coordinator. But of course, they'll say that African Americans are really best at coordinating, or look at all the best African offensive coordinators. You telling me he couldn't do that as a head coach if he had the organization around him? You're telling, and this is no disrespect to all these coaches, but you're telling me that an African American coach couldn't do what John Harbaugh did with Lamar Jackson in that offense? Ozzie Newsome in that organization? You're telling me that a black coach couldn't do what Matt LaFleur is doing with Aaron Rodgers, by the way? Because all I'm hearing is Matt LaFleur is such a great coach. Matt LaFleur is such a great coach. He has Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones. Yo, you remember people kill and still to this day are killing Mike McCarthy for only making it to one Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Nobody talks about how many of those years he made to the playoffs because you have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I'm not saying Matt LaFleur is a bad coach, but what I'm saying is it helps a lot when you have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Aaron Rodgers starting for your team. That's kind of like the whole Steve Nash thing with the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah, it's kind of hard to fail when you have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden on the same team. You're going to win some games. No, we don't know if Steve Nash is a good coach. But what I do know is this. Going back to my point, David Culley, with no Deshaun Watson, with no Tyrod Taylor majority of the season, with no DeAndre Hopkins, with no J.J. Watt, with a horrible offensive line, with a horrible defensive line, with a management team that's pretty much vocal that they didn't want him, he still went out and won 4 games. Now, people at 4 games, wait a second, they're garbage. 4 games with all that. And having a third-string third-string rookie quarterback in David Mills. To me, he did a fine job in what he had to work with. And for people that's saying he went 4-13, he should have been fired. Okay, cool. Okay, he should have been fired because he went 4-13, right? Okay. Well, in that case, if we're just being honest, Dan Campbell should be out of here. Dan Campbell should be gone. Who else? He might be gone, but even though they won 7 games, you have Russell Wilson. Pete Carroll should be gone. Robert Saleh, he went 4-13. He should be gone too, right? Just saying. Oh, he only won 3 more games. Ron Rivera should be gone. What I'm saying is this. This moment right here was the reason why I felt so bad when I heard that David Culley got the job as the head coach for the Houston Texans. Usually, you want to champion and celebrate your African American constituents or your African American brethren or sisterin when they get opportunities like a head coaching position at a professional organization, i.e. NFL, NBA, NHL, stuff like that. You usually want to champion that because you know how rare it is. Like I said, with David Culley now being fired, there's only one African-American head coach in the NFL. And it's not a coincidence that was the only African-American head coach that was put in a situation that is unlike any other situation that another African-American would get. He was put in a stable organization with a franchise quarterback. This is why I said it was messed up, man. Because I knew that we would get to this moment. So now, and I think what they're going to do, because they see the backlash that the Houston Texans see the backlash that they're getting, they're probably going to, you hear Gerard Mayo as a candidate for head coach. You hear Brian Flores, which would be great coaches. Great coaches. You see with Brian Flores, who, by the way, had a winning season. Won 19 games in 2 years. The last time I think the Dolphins did that was 2002. Had 19 wins and still got fired. I think he'd be a great coach for the Houston Texans. But I wouldn't want them to take that job because, again, I understand it's very rare for African Americans to get the opportunity as a head coach. But what makes them think? What makes any coach think that, especially any coach of color, think that what happened to David Culley won't happen to you? How does an organization put that faith into you? Or how does an organization that gave you all the pieces in the world to fail, so that when you do fail, it's like, what am I supposed to say? You went 4-13. Why would you want to be the head coach of an organization like that? Where give it 2 or 3 years, say Deshaun, which I don't think is going to happen. Deshaun Watson ain't never coming back. As far as to Houston, Deshaun Watson's not coming back. So what do you have? What do you have? And what happens if Tyrod Taylor does play the whole season? And you win 6 games or you win 5 games? Then what? It's unfortunate, man. I feel bad for David Culley, and I hate starting an episode like this, but it's. Like, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? And I feel bad because David Culley, and what's unfortunate is you start hearing rhetoric like what we heard from Keyshawn Johnson. And I'm not taking shots at anybody, but you start hearing rhetoric like Keyshawn Johnson. We knew this was going to happen. At least he was able to be a head coach in the National Football League, live out his dream. What? Yeah, he was able to be a head coach. He lived out his dream. But why is that what he has to accept? Why does he have to accept the fact that, well, you did a good enough job to stay. In fact, you did better than expected. But hey, you still got fired. But hey, at least you were a head coach in the NFL league. Here, take this. This is a token. That's a token. That is a token of appreciation because you lived out your dream. Why do black people have to? Why is that always has? I didn't like that, bro. I ain't like that. It's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate because this ain't the first, and this is not the last time that this is gonna happen. Hell, they implemented a Rooney Rule, but you have billionaire owners. You think you're gonna tell a billionaire owner who they're going to spend their money with, and who like that? That's unfortunate, man. But and I hope David Culley gets another opportunity to be a head coach because he didn't deserve to be fired. He did a hell of a job, if you ask me. I mean, I can't even name you. I can't name you 4 players on that team, on that Houston Texans team. 4 players. I can't name you 4. I can name you maybe 3. Tyrod Taylor, David Mills, Brandon Cooks. Is David Johnson still on that team? And maybe David Johnson, I think. That's 4. I can't name you. David, I pray he gets another head coaching opportunity because that was some BS, if you ask me, man. That was terrible. But let's move forward. So, we're in the wild card. And the season got to this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about all the games that we have in the wild card and who I think is going to win. Let's first start with the games on Saturday. Let's start with the Raiders at Bengals. First and foremost, I am shocked. I'm more shocked at the Raiders. No, actually, I'm shocked at both. I'm shocked because if you looked at my preseason prediction, I didn't expect the Raiders nor the Bengals to make the playoffs. I didn't think the Raiders, because you can't trust the Raiders. And as we've seen this year, the Raiders have been through hell and back with John Gruden and Henry Ruggs and homie that was flashing the guns on Instagram to players getting hurt like Darren Waller. It was insane, man. And the fact that they were able to make it to the playoffs, to me, is miraculous. And the Bengals, I didn't think the Bengals were bad, but I just thought, I mean, you're in a division with the Browns, who on paper had the best roster in the NFL. The Ravens, who have Lamar Jackson, who have John Harbaugh, who even though and this is before they got hit with injury, and of course the Steelers, prized organization. So I'm surprised that both of these teams, even being led by a Derek Carr and a Joe Burrow, I'm surprised. Now, when I do these predictions or when I do these breakdowns, I'm gonna give you how a team's gonna win, and then I'm gonna give you who I think is gonna win. So here's how I think the Raiders how I think the Raiders could win. Attack Joe Burrow. Yo, I love Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is incredible. Jamar Chase arguably is a top 5 receiver at his position right now. But one of the biggest reasons why I said that they should go for, or when I say they, I mean the Bengals should go maybe a Rashad Slater, a Penei Sewell, is because their offensive line is horrible. And that was made very clear this year because Joe Burrow was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league. And when you have someone like Njoku, when you have the Pro Bowler that is Max Crosby, you go for the quarterback. The Bengals defense isn't great as well. So you have Josh Jacobs, you have Derek Carr, you have Darren Waller. You just have to get to the quarterback. You do not want to give Joe Burrow time, because Joe Burrow was like number 1 in touchdown passes over 15 or 20 yards, something like that. You do not want to give Joe Burrow time, especially to tee you up with a Jamar Chase, with a T. Higgins, with a Tyler Boyd, with Joe Mixon as the running back. That is the only way I can see the Raiders winning this game, is if Max Crosby and Njoku, that defense gets to Joe Burrow. And they're going to have opportunity because the Bengals offensive line, is not that good. So get to Joe Burrow. And the Bengals, get to the quarterback. That's how I think the Raiders are going to win. Or how I think the Raiders could win. How I think the Bengals could win is just light it up. Joe Burrow, they're one of the rare teams where if they catch fire, and when I mean fire offensively, because you have so many weapons out. Joe Burrow has been incredible. Joe Burrow has been incredible, man, especially with this being his second year and the first year getting derailed by injury. Joe Burrow has been incredible. And the amount of peace that he has around him is crazy. So when they get hot, when Jamar Chase starts going crazy, when T. Higgins starts going crazy, when Tyler Boyd starts going crazy, it's a wrap. So I just think you want to put your pedal to, and while the front of the Raiders defense is really good, like I said, Njoku and Max Crosby, the back end of that defense, the secondary is not that good. So you're going to have opportunities, which is why I said for the Raiders, you kind of have to get to the quarterback, because if not, then you're pretty much sitting ducks, because the Raiders don't have enough skilled players to guard the skilled offensive weapons that the Bengals have. So who do I think is going to win this match? I think it is I'm not going to say a contrast of both styles. I think what it is to me, these are kind of the same teams. A little bit. Derek Carr is very underrated in my opinion. Derek Carr is still a really good wide receiver. I mean, a really good quarterback. It's just people want to crap on him, especially people in his own organization. But you have Josh Jacobs, you have Darren Waller, you have Edwards. But I think I think that this game has to be dominated by Max Crosby and Njoku for the Raiders, or they're not going to have a shot. And because the Bengals are playing at home, I have the Bengals winning this game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people expect because of how good Derek Carr is, because of how good Darren Waller is. Because, I mean, Darren Waller is a top 3 or top 3 probably tight end in the league. I'm going to go with the Bengals because when you have all those weapons on offense, especially going against the Raiders defense that we've seen give up a astronomical amount of points, hell, if it wasn't for a couple bad coaching decisions, in my opinion, and a couple drops, the Chargers would be where the Raiders are. So I have, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders. I think that this is an even matchup for different for in different areas, but because the Bengals are at home and you have that offense that they have, I'm gonna go with the Bengals winning this one. Now you have the Patriots and you have the Bills. I was wrong. I didn't think. I thought Mac Jones had a potential to be good. I didn't think he had the potential to be good. I didn't think that the Patriots were going to lead their team to the playoffs, or I didn't think that he was good. He, as in Mac Jones, was good enough to lead his team to the playoffs. Now, that statement is very misleading because you would think that he played a major part, which he didn't. The run game with Damian Harris has been incredible. The defense has been incredible, with Kyle Van Noy. And Mac Jones was not asked to do a lot. Now they are coming into the playoffs pretty much stumbling. I think they lost their last 2 games. But this is, and not to mention, this game is going to be cold. It is in Buffalo, but I think like the temperature is supposed to be like 3 degrees, but it's supposed to feel like negative 13 or something. So it's going to be one of the coldest games on record as far as feel wise. But here's how the Patriots can win. Josh Allen has not had the best season, or let me say, he's not had the season that he had last year. Now, going into the season, I thought that the Bills had an opportunity and a chance to make it to the Super Bowl, which they still do, seeing as though, they're in the playoffs, but this team has not looked like it did last year. And Josh Allen crazy. Quarterback playing from Wyoming, playing in Buffalo, struggles mightily. And the stat, you can look it up, struggles mightily playing in the cold. So I think that the Patriots, I think the Patriots have to stay solid. Their running game has to come alive, which it can, because the Bills defense has struggled this year stopping the run. If Damian Harris goes crazy, which could happen, and the defense gets to Josh Allen and pretty much suffocates him or suffocates Stephon Diggs, I think that the Patriots did beat them already in the regular season, once at least. I think that they could do it again. Again, that defense has to get to Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a tank of a quarterback, and if you can get him on the ground, you have, and get him uncomfortable. Now, Josh Allen can beat you with his legs. Now, he's not like Lamar Jackson, but he is a very reliable rusher as far as a wide receiver or running or quarterback. So get to, pressure Josh Allen, and the Patriots running game has to be, because if you're putting this in Mac Jones' hands and making Mac Jones win, which we saw the Bills do the second time, and which we saw the Miami Dolphins, which by the way, they do not have a coach right now, which we saw the Miami Dolphins do. If you make Mac Jones beat you, I think you have a great chance of winning. But the Patriots can win if they have a dominant running game, which they've had all season, and a dominant defense, which they've had all season. The Bills, they have the better team. Well, let me say this. They have the two best players, in my opinion. Well, you do have J.C. Jackson. They have the two best players in this game. Now, unfortunately, both of them are on offense, but you do have the two best players, which is Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. If Josh Allen is able to get the ball out quick and get good, easy completions, 5-yard completions, 7-yard completions, you don't need to go for the killer. And the Bills need, which I haven't done all year, so I don't expect them to do it, but they need to have a more balanced running to rushing to passing game, which I don't expect them to do it because they haven't done it all year. But you can't expect Josh Allen to make every single pass. And when you run the ball, 4 or 5 times, 6 times a game, it's not going to work. That's kind of what happened the first time they played when it was like all windy. Even though it was all that wind, they still were very reluctant to run the ball. So I think that if you make it a balanced game and get those quick completions and Stephon Diggs has a big game, I think that the Bills can win. I'm going with the Bills, in my opinion, to win this game because you have I trust Josh Allen and I trust Stephon Diggs more than I trust Mac Jones and Jacoby Myers. Now, even though Hunter Henry has been good, but I'm going to go with the Bills. I just think the Bills, to me, they understand what's at stake especially Josh Allen cannot lose to a rookie quarterback, especially when there's a lot of people, especially and a lot of people in the Bills organization that have the Bills at least making it to, or you don't want to regress. I think that's one of the biggest problems that we would talk about with Indy. You don't want to regress. Indianapolis at least made it to the playoffs last year. They didn't make it this year. You don't want to regress with something, especially when you have a quarterback that was in the MVP. I think he was second in MVP last year, second or third. I have the Bills winning. You don't want to regress, so I have the Bills. So let's go to Sunday slates. You have 3 games on Sunday. And let's start with the first one, which is the Eagles and the Bucs. The Eagles is another team that I am shocked that they made it to the playoffs. I was very vocal in my lack of faith with Philly. Not just because I'm a Washington fan, because I still have a podcast, so I still try to be as objective as possible. I mean, hell, I talk about the Cowboys a lot, but I was surprised because if you look at the Philly team, they don't really have any stars, and I mean their best star is Jason Kelce, and I didn't trust Jalen Hurts going into the season. So I was surprised, but this team is number 1 in rushing, and Jalen Hurts is a big reason. So don't think that they take it out of Jalen Hurts' hand. Jalen Hurts is a big reason for that. And it's been, especially a team that lost Zach Ertz. Like, now Dallas Goedert has been great. So I am shocked that the Eagles are here. And how can the Eagles win this game? Well, Darius Slay has to have a big game. I think that you can put Darius Slay on. You can put Darius Slay on Mike Evans. I think that this is going to be big as far as the absence of Chris Godwin, of course, Antonio Brown. This is now you don't really have another wide receiver you have to worry about. You don't have another wide receiver you have to worry about. So you can focus all your attention as far as wide receivers on Mike Evans. So you can put your best player on Mike, or best defender on Mike Evans, which is Darius Slay, which also was crazy that he only got 1 All-Pro vote. But and the Eagles are going to have to do something, in my opinion, that they haven't really done this year, and that is beat a team passing the ball. Now, I did just say that they are the number 1 rushing team, and they can get some rushing yards on the Bucs. But when you have Njoku, we don't know if Shaquille Barrett might be there. We're still seeing about that. You also have Villa Dominican Sue. I did say that. Levante David. Like, you're not going to get a lot of rushing yards off on this team. So you're going to have to beat them at their weak point, which is the secondary. And if you can do that with Dallas Goedert, with Devontae Smith, you have a chance. And Jalen Hurts has surprised me, so I'm not going to count out Jalen Hurts, even though this is a daunting task. You could do it. So, I mean, you made it to the playoffs, so it's, So, attack the Bucs at their weak point, which is the secondary, and control what you can control. And you can control is you can put your best defender on Mike Evans. And as we've seen, Mike Evans, there are times when Mike Evans can get taken out of a game due to how physical he is. He doesn't seem like the most he is a big receiver, but he's not the most physical receiver. So you can take him out of game. So that to me is the only way that the Eagles can win this game. The Bucs, I mean, you have Tom Brady. You have Leonard Fournette. You have Mike Evans. And the one thing that I don't think that the Eagles can really match up with is Rob Gronkowski. So I do not be surprised if we get a heavy dose of Tom Brady connection with Rob Gronkowski. To me, that's how you win. You really utilize that connection. Rob Gronkowski has a big game. Tom Brady is going to be Tom Brady. And just control, which kind of like with the Eagles, just control what you can control. We know that the Bucs secondary is not the best. So what you do is you stop what you can stop. We know coming into the game that the Eagles is the #1 rushing team. So make sure they don't beat you rushing the ball. Tom Brady's going to handle what he has to handle. That offense is going to do what they got to do. For the defense, handle what you can handle. And that is do not let them just rush up and down, because they're going to try to with Miles Sanders, with Jalen Hurts. They're going to try to run the ball like crazy. So now Jalen Hurts could hurt them because they have had problems containing quarterbacks that can run, but just control what you can control. And that's kind of for both teams. But I'm going with the Bucs. To me, this is a daunting task. Damn, I'm going with all the home teams. This is a daunting task for me. Or this is a daunting task for the Eagles. A lot of your players are still out due to injury. You're going against Tom Brady and the reigning Super Bowl champions, who, by the way, even though people talk about that Brady has no shot, they are 13-4. So it was a good story for the Eagles making it, but I just don't think they have a chance. Now, it could be like last year with Washington pretty much going down to the wire with the Buccaneers. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the Buccaneers still won that game and ultimately won the Super Bowl. So I have the Buccaneers winning this game. Then you have, to me, probably one of the biggest game, probably was going to be the most talked about game, and that is the 49ers at Cowboys. This is actually a big rivalry spanning, we haven't seen in a while, but, Troy Aikmans and Joe Montana's and Steve Young's and Jerry Rice's, like this used to be a huge rivalry. And again, we haven't seen it in a while, but this is going to be a good game. To me, let's start with the 49ers side. The 49ers, man, the 49ers have frustrated me this season because to me they should be a lot better and positioned a lot better than they are. But hell, they made it to the playoffs. They're 10-7, and they did deal with a lot of injury from the quarterback to defense. They've dealt with a litany of injuries. To me, the way that the 49ers win this game is two things. One, do what you do best. And let me not say that because I said that with the last one. One, be as physical as possible. That's what happened when they played the Rams. You be as physical as possible. When you have Fred Warner, when you have Nick Bosa, when you have that defense that is a hard-hitting defense, you want to be as physical as possible because as we know, the Cowboys aren't the most rugged team. Like, they're a finesse team. So you want to be physical, and you have the players to do that. So I think if the 49ers, and to me, this game is going to be won number 2, I guess, is let Deebo Samuel eat. Deebo Samuel has been incredible in the run game. He's been incredible with the pass game. He's been incredible with the receiving game. So let Deebo Samuel cook, and don't for Jimmy Garoppolo. I know you have the hand thing. Do not. It's like 3 things are certain: death taxes, and Jimmy G is gonna throw one up for the defense. Like it's gonna throw one up like a 50-50 ball. Just do not let the other team. That's a lot of the reasons. That's a lot of look. Be as physical as possible without being overly physical, and let Deebo, because to me Deebo Samuel is the best player, or is the most unique player in this game, because you can use him in a litany of ways, and you can't really see that on the defensive side of the ball as far as, and I don't know because what is Trayvon Diggs going to do? Trayvon Diggs is going to have to, Deebo Samuel, I mean, you may put him with Brandon Ayuk or something, and you have George Kittle. So, and I think having George Kittle and having that, because he is a safety net, having that safety net definitely opens the gates for Brandon or for Deebo Samuel. So definitely get Kittle involved, get Brandon Ayuk, allow Deebo Samuel to do what he's been doing all season, and just be as physical as possible. And Jimmy G, do not lose the turnover battle. For the Cowboys, I mean, you have those guns for a reason. And this is a big game. Of course, it's a playoff game, so it's big for everybody. This is a big game for Mike McCarthy. This is a big game for that coaching staff. This is a big game for Dak. This is a big game for Zeke. I mean, Dak's coming back from injury. Zeke, we haven't seen Zeke be the Zeke in a while, and I don't think, I mean, we keep saying we're waiting for, but I don't think we're going to see that old Zeke. So this is a big game. This is a huge game. I'm not legacy-wise as far as for Mike McCarthy, because like I said, people keep saying, Mike McCarthy's such a, people, I'm not going to rehash it, but this is a big game, especially for Mike McCarthy. And so go to the sure things. And the sure things for the Cowboys is go to a Amari Cooper, go to a CeeDee Lamb, go to a CJ Wilson, go to a Tony Pollard, go to a Dalton Schwartz. Like there is a reason this Dallas team paid all that money for the players on the offense, because you have a Dak Prescott. Now, Dak Prescott has not played really well this season, but he's played good enough not only to win the NFC East, but to make it to the playoffs. So, to me, this is probably the hardest game to pick, outside of maybe the Rams game. But this is the hardest game to pick because you have a contrast of 2 styles. And we also know, for some reason, Dallas is very susceptible to losing at home. But then again, we don't know. You don't know what 49ers you're going to get. You can get the 49ers that beat the Rams and Nick Bosa going crazy, Fred Warner going crazy, Deebo Samuel's going crazy. Then you can get the 49ers that turn the ball over the time, that just doesn't look like they want to play. Now, I'm going to go with the 49ers. I'm going to go with the 49ers because I just saw what they did to the Rams, and I think the Rams are a better team than the Cowboys. And I just think that the physicality of the defense is going to reign. Now, Dallas' defense has been really good this year with Micah Parsons, with Trayvon Diggs, but I also to me, this is a toss-up. So I'm gonna go with the 49ers. I'm also gonna go with the 49ers because I'm a Washington fan, but I'm also being subjective. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys won, but I'm just gonna pick the 49ers because of that, how physical and how good that defense is. And you have George Kittle, you have Brandon Ayuk, who is an incredible young player. You have Deebo Samuel, who's an incredible young player. I'm gonna go with the 49ers. The The team that was not supposed to be here and the Pittsburgh Steelers is going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, this is probably Big Ben's last season, going out with a swan song. So, everything that had to happen miraculously did happen with the Steelers, because Steelers had like a 2% chance of making it to the playoffs, and yet they're here. And this was probably the hardest. This is probably the hardest to try to figure out how the Steelers can win this game, because I know how the Steelers can win this game. It's very easy and very simple how the Steelers can win this game, but will they do that? And I don't know if they're capable of doing that. So we know the defense is going to be great. We know T.J. Watt's going to be great. Minka Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden. We know they're going to be good. We know that they're going to get to Patrick Mahomes. We know that they're going to try to. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not going to play. We know that they're going to try to be as physical as possible with a Travis Kelce, with a Tyreek Hill, who is coming in with an injury. So we know that defense is going to be. That defense is going to be physical, and the defense is going to keep you or give you a shot to win the game. T.J. Watt more than likely is going to win the Defensive Player of the Year, so they have a shot on the defense. The problem is offensively, can they keep up, or can they score enough to win this game? And that's pretty much the. I know it's simplifying it, but even though you have Najee Harris, even though you have Johnson Williams, even though you have Claypool, and I don't think it's going to happen, but looks like Juju Smith may be available. I don't know if they can. Big Ben, I've seen Big Ben win close games, but look at the quarterbacks that he's beat the last few weeks that he had to beat, or look at the teams. He beat a Tyler Huntley. And when he's going up against a good, you remember last time they played. You remember, even though they did come back in the end and still lost, but you remember when the Steelers played the Chargers and how Justin Herbert made them look bad. So the way that the Steelers could win is the defense just be the defense. There's some, the defense be the defense. Get to Patrick Mahomes. You have probably the Defensive Player of the Year, and T.J. Watt. Do what you got to do and try to match the defensive effort. I know Big Ben's probably going to try to go out with a blaze of glory, but try to match the defensive effort as far as with the scoring output. Because if not, I don't know. Because you're not going to all those flat throws or throws in the flats, all those slants ain't going to work against the Kansas City Chiefs. And on the Kansas City Chiefs side, this team has not looked right pretty much this year. They haven't looked like the Chiefs of old. So they could be susceptible to losing. It's just I just don't see it with the Steelers. But the way that they could win this game is just score. And that's what they do best. Score, score, score. When you have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Pringle, McCole Harmon, just you can score and when they kind of like the Bengals. In fact, the Bengals are kind of like the Chiefs. When the Chiefs get on fire, we saw last year against the Chiefs, when they catch fire, they catch fire. So, and it goes back to my big point. I just don't think the Steelers have enough, especially offensively, and I just don't think Big Ben has it enough to beat this Chiefs team. So I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. I just don't see it for the Steelers. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. And lastly, you have the divisional NFC West showdown, the Cardinals at Rams. To me, this is probably the most even matchup. Now, probably the most exciting and the one that we're going to talk about the most, because it's the Cowboys, is the 49ers at Cowboys. But to me, this is the most even game. you have two teams that come into the season with a lot of expectations. You have the last undefeated team that was the Cardinals. You have the Rams, who just spent the bank this year trying to pretty much win now mode. So this to me is the most even, and of course they're divisional rivals now. Again, you have the Patriots and Bills as a divisional game, but so how can the Cardinals win? One, the Cardinals have the one player in this game that I don't think you can really scheme for, because he does things that you can't scheme for, and that is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, what he's able to do, throwing the ball, what he's able to do with his legs, what he's able to do on the move as far as throwing the ball. The even though you have players like a Von Miller and an Aaron Donald and a Jalen Ramsey, the Cardinals, Kyler Murray is able to do things that you can't really script. He can't really game plan for, especially because you don't have a quarterback like that. And I mean, you have Chase Edmonds, who's been good. You have James Conner, who's been great this year. I don't know if we're gonna see DeAndre Hopkins, but you still have Zach Ertz, who's been a godsend for this team. Surprisingly, especially when you saw how that ended with Philly. And even on the defensive side of the ball, you have Isaiah Stewart. You have Budda Baker, who's been great. J.J. Watt, I don't think he's going to play, but he could play. You have Chandler Jones. To me, if the Cardinals can get back to what they look like in the beginning of the year, which was a fierce defense and an attacking defense, and, of course, Kyler Murray just being Kyler Murray, I do think that DeAndre Hopkins not being there is huge. If he will or will not be, I don't think he will. I think that's going to be huge, but you still have Kyler Murray. So I think that just get back to the Cardinals that got you 7-0, 8-0 before they got to the Green Bay. So if you get to that, if you get back to that, you'll be good. You'll be good, because I don't think this Rams team, even though they have improved defensively over the course of the season, they're still not great defensively, because I still don't. That running defense still isn't the greatest, even with the players that they have. You can still gain yards on them. And actually, outside of three people, their defense is very pedestrian. Outside of Aaron Jones, Von Miller, and Jalen Ramsey, their defense is very pedestrian. So you can get yards on them. For the Rams, I mean, this is the biggest game of Matt Stafford's career. This is probably the biggest game of Odell Beckham Jr.'s career. At this point, you have to show out. Cooper Kupp's going to be Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp has been probably one of the best wide receivers in the league this year, especially statistically. I think that if you have all guns blazing and Matthew Stafford control do not turn the ball over. I know that's easier said than done, seeing as your track record over the last few weeks. But if Matt Stafford limits his turnovers, especially turnovers in big moments, i.e. what happened last week, if you're able to limit your turnovers and you're able to get the people the ball that need the ball, which is Cooper Kupp, which is Tyler Higbee, which is Odell Beckham Jr., you have a chance to win. Not to mention your run game, because you still have Sony Michel, who's been good. Cam Akers, he's come back. But to me, the Rams have all the pieces, and the Rams, in my opinion, have the better coach than Sean McVay. So I'm going to say this. The reason why I'm going to pick the Rams to win this game is because the Rams need to win this game. If the Rams do not win this game, I trust them. I don't think Sean McVay is going to go. I don't think Matthew Stafford is going to go, but there is going to be major changes, because Odell Beckham's a free agent. You spent all this money on a win-now team to lose in the wild card. Now, and you're at home. Now, it is Arizona, so it is a rivalry game, and it's L.A., Arizona. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Arizona fans there, but the Rams have to win this game, and I think they know they have to win this game. So I have the Rams winning. So to recap, I have the Bengals beating the Raiders. I have the Bills beating the Patriots. I have the Bucks beating the Eagles. I have the 49ers beating the Cowboys. In fact, I only have the only away team I have losing. The only away team I have winning is the 49ers. I have the Chiefs beating the Steelers. And the Rams know they need this game, so I have the Rams beating the Cardinals. And there you have it. That's been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. Of course, next episode, we're going to go to the next round. We're going to talk about what we saw in the wild card round. And then we're going to go to the next round and give my predictions and how I think one team's going to win, how the other team's going to win, and stuff like that. I appreciate you guys. If you want a Unpopular Podcast shirt, hoodie, long sleeve, joggers, the link is in the description below. I have multiple different colors, multiple different designs. Again, bro, it is cold out here in these streets. If you're on the East Coast, it's about to snow in Maryland. It's like 13 degrees. It's cold, so get your hoodies, get your long sleeve, get your joggers, get them today. Again, I have multiple different designs, multiple different colors, so I have what you want. Go get you some Unpopular Podcast merch. Also, please subscribe to the wherever you're listening. Please subscribe to wherever you're watching. It definitely means a lot to me. And until next time, much love.